Well, hello and good morning, everyone. It's Michele Maher here, and I'm joined with Natalie Djedje. Thank you so much, Natalie. Natalie Campbell, Djedje. Sorry.
No
I
worries.
Thank you so much for joining me this morning on my Pivot with Positivity interview show. I'm so happy to have you,
Thank
and
you.
where we talk about keeping a positive mindset while pivoting in your business and in your life. These last 6 months plus, we've been dealing with all kinds of emotions, and it's just been a roller coaster, and it continues to be new things every day. So thank you so much. If you want to give us a few words about who you are and what you're all about.
Thank you. I appreciate being here. Yeah, so my last name is pronounced Djedje, like two-letter J's.
Yeah.
I am a Toronto-based brand and portrait photographer, and what I love to do is I love to make entrepreneurs, business owners, industry rock stars look like they're from the pages of a magazine. I like making people look famous through photography so that they can attract their ideal clients and build their brand.
All right, that's awesome. And I see that picture you do have beside you in your background there of
Yeah, it's
the
kind of make me famous.
yes, yes, yeah. This and talk about superhero photo.
Yeah.
All right, so as we were saying before we got on camera here, it's been a roller coaster of emotions, and as we know, I had my branding photography shoot with you on March 10th.
Yes, just
So
before everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So and going back to that, remember you said we were kind of planning it, and then you said something hit you, something said in your mind, do it now.
hmm
And so we got it booked for the Tuesday, March 10th. And then I think it was the 12th. Yeah, it was the 12th afternoon, Thursday, when they announced that the NBA was suspending the season. And I think Friday was kind of when they announced on the 13th that everything was shutting down.
Yeah,
And so it was just a blessing in disguise for sure that we got that photo shoot done. And I
exactly.
got I got some amazing photos from it as well. So
Yeah, you
I
rocked it that day.
yeah. So I found at that point when everything was shut down, I did find myself really getting into kind of a state of fear and being pulled into that black hole as the social media became so negative. I had a lot of external forces coming at me with such negativity, and I myself got sucked into the whole thing and went to Costco that Friday to stock up on some things
Toilet paper?
and not toilet paper, because by that time there was no toilet paper left at all. And
That's
actually,
right.
and we needed toilet paper, but that was another story. So yeah, so I did find myself really, and I found that you could really get into that fear and worry and uncertainty and unknown of the future, and I knew I didn't want to stay there. So I started just thinking, what could I do to make things better and communicate some positivity into the world. So that's why I started this interview series in the first place, and also to spread, because I know so many amazing entrepreneurs, and again, so it was just a great way to talk about everybody's feelings and what we were going
hmm
through. What was it like for you going through that? And it was the beginning of March break too, when
Right, right.
which we were all prepared for March break
Yes, nonetheless, yes. We just didn't
already.
realize it
Kids
lasts
were
all
staying
summer.
home.
My son calls it, wow, this was the longest March break ever when it was time to go back to school. Um,
Right.
yeah, at first I was thinking, okay, because before that you heard in the news of what was going on in China and just little pockets here and there. And then when March break hit, it still didn't hit me that hard. I'm like, okay, kids are on March break, they're home anyway. But when it started to drag out, and then now parents who weren't used to educating at home, we now had to become homeschooling parents and things like that. That was quite a shift. And I had a good support system nonetheless. Like I had some good friends, and we could talk about it and share our feelings. But as it got deeper and deeper, and I'm realizing, okay, I'm unable to work right now. there was a bit of a heaviness, because then also you were isolated from people you loved and cared for. And so it was back and forth emotionally for me, in terms of my business, and then just in terms of a lot of things were cut off. My friends, I have some really dear close friends, and we were really tight, knowing that I couldn't see them. My church had shut down, and that's a really important part of my life. Just that whole support system that you lean on, that kind of made it hard. And then I'll be honest, COVID brought the ugly out of a lot of people. Me, my kids. I had moved in, like at my mother's house. She was just down the road to care for her, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because you were just sort of enclosed. I mean, as they called it, lockdown. It wasn't easy. You know, we laugh about it now, but at the time, it wasn't always so funny. Yeah, it was just.
I think that's the case for so many people. All of a sudden, everybody came home, and trying to just navigate the space. Even for myself, I was already working from home, and I'm so grateful that I have my studio down here where I'm, kind of can be alone from the rest of the family. But for me, my husband coming back to work from home, and all of a sudden being here all day long, and then the kids being here all day long, like, so everybody being in the same house all day long. I found myself a few times getting in the car and going to just sit in a parking lot, like the empty Marshall's parking lot or something, just to kind of like get my, get my little break.
I totally get it, because you and I are both introverts, right? I'm a hardcore introvert, and so there were memes out there saying, "Oh yeah, this is a great time for introverts." I'm like, no, it's not, because everyone was inside, and it was just too overwhelming. And my mother's an extrovert, and I have a son who's an extrovert, and then my other son, they weren't sure how to handle this, so they're a bit needy, and I was just like, I need space, I need air. I would like, when I had to do grocery shopping, I'd actually buy like maybe one banana so I could have an excuse to say, oh, we're low on bananas. I gotta get another one just to get like, just to get away. I mean, it was hard. I didn't have that sort of, cove where I can be like regroup. It was quite something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I find that's what I need as well. I need that little alone time.
Yeah.
And when everybody's kind of coming at you and trying to navigate the whole, like, everybody wanting to eat lunch at the same time, or just different things like that. It's people kind of being on top of one another and not you need, somebody else I was speaking to was talking about boundaries. That's kind of what it is. You need to set your boundaries. And then the other difficulty that comes out of the whole thing is some of the people who are coming, who have come to work from home, how do they separate work from home?
Right.
Because I know I think a lot of corporations are getting a lot more out of their employees when they're working from home now, because they're starting early, they're continuing. Some people are working on the weekend because the computer's here, and I can get to that. It's not the same as when you had to physically move and go into an office space.
It's true. Right? A friend of mine, she was dealing with that now that she's working from home, they actually drained her even more. Like, they demanded much more, and she would be in tears. And because, she's in a really stressful industry. And now that she's home, it's like, go, go, go. The emails wouldn't stop, the demands. And I really felt for her at that time, because
Yeah, and add on,
it broke her.
I don't know if she has any children, but add on if you have children at home. And then some of the people I have interviewed who have young children at home, and they're trying to run their business, and then they have the young children who couldn't do that online schooling and navigate it all themselves, needed help all the time. They were continuing to do work, late at night after the kids went home, to try to navigate through the whole process.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. At one point, I jokingly said to my son, "You know what? We're not doing night school." Because I found myself only to the night. He would like sleep, and I'm like, nope, we're not going to do night school. I'm not going to be night school homeschooling mom. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you found, so going through this, obviously you got shut down as a photographer. You couldn't do in-person photography. you were using, because you were doing primarily inside.
Yeah, I do. I do
You do
in
outside
studio
too.
and also on location. But even
Yeah.
then, like the restrictions, you weren't supposed to work. Yeah.
Right. So what did you find, what did you find yourself doing during those, that little period of time when you couldn't work?
Other than almost ODing on gummy bears, it was just a terrible time. Oh, the COVID wait. I was working on my website. I thought, well, this is a chance to brush up on my marketing. I was dragging getting my website down. Now I realized I had no excuse. Also, I tend to deal with people, but I decided, thanks to you, dabble in a bit of product photography and see, hone my skills there, see what it's like. And I tried that and just honing my own photographic skills. My son, especially my younger son, he was my model. I'm like, let me try new lighting. Let me try this. Let's do some what I called core and creativity, during that time, because you should know as a creative, if you're not doing something creative, it's like a slow death. So I knew I had to find ways to keep my creative juices flowing.
Right.
Also educating myself in terms of refining business skills, creative skills, and binging on Psych on Amazon Prime and some other shows. But it allowed me to consider other ways I can add to my business. So I'm really contemplating including product photography. It's an interesting niche that complements brand photography as well.
Yeah, definitely. You can now photograph, the brand, whatever. If people have products, it definitely
Exactly, such as yourself,
goes
like
along with
you.
it. Yes.
Exactly, and I appreciate you. Let me experiment with some of your jewelry and just finding creative ways to do that, because you have really beautiful pieces, which I'm wearing one of them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's your custom piece.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I found a lot, for a lot of people that couldn't couldn't carry on in the normal manner of work. It was time to go to the back end and, like you say, concentrate on some marketing, concentrate on your website, things that you had put off for the longest time, saying that you didn't have time to do it and you do it someday. And I think that was the case for a lot of people, as well as the fact that there was so everybody came online. Everybody was offering free webinars and different Facebook groups and different workshops and things like that. So anything you wanted to hone your skills up and concentrate on to bring your business up to another level, it was there for you.
Yeah, and I also think it's really, like, for a lot of artists, photographers, you don't want to be quiet during that time, because most people know, like, all right, your business, you can't work. Does that mean you're out of business? So I wanted people to know that, hey, I'm still around, even though I can't photograph right now. And so I then started things like doing little small video moments of tips and tricks. I did a couple times to put on different platforms such as LinkedIn. So people knew that, okay, she's not down and out. Like, she's not out of the business. She didn't have to close shop. She's still around and she's still present. I wanted to make sure that I was still present, so people knew that when all this would loosen up, that I'm there for them to help them in their business, especially since, the online presence has increased exponentially. Like, now people realize, wow, I didn't realize how I neglected my LinkedIn photo or how I looked or my branding, because before all this, I was too busy going about town and things like that. So I made sure I was on some virtual networking events, and a lot of networking things went online. So I joined in. I attended quite a few of them.
Right, because really, this has given us the time to slow down and think about our values and think about who we want to be going forward and what do we want our business to look like. So it's almost like it's almost like a new beginning. It's almost like a lot of our businesses become startups, and we have to rethink. We've had to rethink how we want to move going forward, And as things have now opened up, and we're not back to in-person events or anything like that, but you are back to being allowed to
Yes.
To
Photograph.
do
Yeah.
the photography. So this is the time for people to come and concentrate on their new branding, come up with, you know, some new photos, new branding, new marketing, and to move their businesses forward. And like you say, you don't want to be silent. You didn't want to be silent during that period of time.
Yeah.
Even people like hair salons and nail salons were making sure to do videos, just like you say, doing tips and educating, and the hair salons mixing up dye and taking it, you know, delivering it at people's homes so they could do it themselves and things like that, because you want to remain top of mind, your name.
Exactly. No, you hit the nail on the head. And so it did take, because like I said earlier, I'm quite the introvert. It did take, it was a bit of an uncomfortable necessity, but I'm like, hey, this is what you have to do. And I do love my clients, and I love making people look fabulous. And so I realized, hey, this is all new for all of us. We're going to have to try new things to stay top of mind and to help and serve others in other ways other than what I do, photography. So I realized that a lot of people, they realize like, okay, my business is struggling, and maybe they weren't able to use my services right now. I still wanted to serve them in a way like, here's some simple tips. If you have to, for your social media, you want to have a few quick storytelling moments with your cell phone. This is what you can do. So it was still, you still give, and you still share, and you still serve, even knowing well that maybe at the time a lot of people's businesses suffered. They're not able to use me right away, or they just maybe just like, Natalie, I'd like a headshot now, but down the line I'd like to do something more. But it's starting to grow, so I'm happy about that, because people realize that online visual branding is so important. It's so important.
Right, and it's not going away. It's
not going away. In fact, it's increasing. So how do they stand out from the crowd? How do they get seen first?
Yeah. Right, and I think that's the other thing. This whole having to stay home and so many businesses having to close and everybody coming online really accelerated a lot of the learning for a lot of people around technology, as well as, you know, so many people who had said, oh, they would have a clothing boutique and they didn't have an online presence, they didn't have a web store. Now, of course, they took that time to create the web store, something that they wanted to do, but again, made the excuse of not having enough time to do it until you were, you know, I think it forced us into a lot of action to actually address areas that we wanted to address. But again, we always made that excuse of no time and we're too busy.
Yeah.
Which, you know, we still have the same 24 hours in the day. Yeah. No matter what.
It took taking the rug pulled out from under us to realize, whoa, okay. Yeah, like you said, a lot of people in the retail industry, they realized, I got to pivot online now, no longer the brick and mortar. And like you said, it might have been something they thought about, but when the rug was pulled out for them, it forced them to take action. And so,
yeah. And we don't know what's the future going to look like in terms of retail. We've seen so many store closures, and online went crazy during that time. I think Shopify shares went way up as the demand.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's time to get creative, and this is when a lot of innovation happens too.
Yep.
And the fact, as I said, the fact is everybody's now embraced technology, where some people would complain or you know, be frustrated with it before. We're also grateful for it, because this is what has helped us get through that period of time. Even though we were isolated at home alone, we were not really alone, because we could connect, at least, you know, in this virtual manner, to almost feel like we're in the same room together.
Exactly. Hey, I got my 84-year-old mother to get on WhatsApp now so she can talk to others. So before she'd reject it, now she wants all these features because she felt the heaviness and isolation. And now she's like, okay, She can connect with
Exactly.
relatives in the Caribbean and England, all over.
Yeah, and I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what has happened for a lot of grandparents have
Yeah,
embraced FaceTime and gotten onto
exactly.
Zoom and whatever, and are actually using the technology and embracing it, and we have the opportunity to really get creative in using technology and coming up with different solutions to help
Hmm.
us with our business and help us grow our business and automate the things that we don't want to do
Right. Yeah.
as
Because
well.
that's actually, I'm glad you said that, because also I felt a lot of overwhelm during this time with technology. I don't know if some of the other people you've spoken to, fellow entrepreneurs, because before I could have a balance, but then I realized, yeah, I need to have a lot of systems in place, because technology can actually be it could overtake you, and then you could feel very overwhelmed. At one point I did. And then
Mhm.
finally I realized, okay, I need some help here. What can I outsource, or what can I automate so I can still, you know, not feel like a transformer, or some sort of like it just got a little bit too much. I almost felt like I lost a sense of, okay, my humanity, a sense of like who I am as a person. Like I still love nature. Like I was just all the time online, that I realized, okay, this
Right.
isn't good either. And so I think this also made me realize technology is good, but you need to try to find a way not to let it overtake you, and still have a life and live and breathe. Yeah.
Right. Yes, and I
Mhm.
agree. And there was a period of time when I felt very overwhelmed, as I was there was so much online and I was signing up for all the everything that was interesting me,
Mhm.
and it became just craziness because it was between doing these interviews and then workshops and other Zoom webinars and networking online, it was like getting into the evening and carrying on, and
Yeah.
I never had that downtime to even process what I had learned in the day.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I think at that time a lot of people were also feeling that same feeling of overwhelm with being online all the time.
Hmm.
And you need to get out, you need that break, you need to get out in nature. That was
Yeah.
something that is very important to keep a positive, healthy mind, as well as the
Yeah.
fact that nature rejuvenates you. It really does.
Oh,
And
it totally
especially,
does.
I find water myself, I just love going to the water, and I find that really helps
Absolutely.
to ground you. And actually, somebody else in one of the interviews was telling me, take your shoes off, take your socks off, and go in your bare feet on the grass,
Mm.
and just to ground you.
Yeah.
That's a kind of a practice that really helps as well.
Yeah, my son and I, we've started this habit of going for walks in the evening. It's just great. And just we're not far from the ravine, and I'm another person. I love being by water, and just nature, smelling the air, hearing like crickets and birds. It's just the beauty of that. Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and it's something.
necessary.
Yes, and it's something we didn't necessarily embrace all like while we didn't take the time to appreciate it and listen, I
Hmm.
think, the way you're talking before, because we were always rush, 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 going here and here and thinking of the next thing to do. And when we got the chance to slow down like that, we could reflect
Hmm.
and think about, what's important to you.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, you might say the silver lining in all this is that it made you rethink what you valued. And the minute the rug was pulled out from under me, and I'll be honest, before, um, I'd be like, gotta do this for the business because I'm doing this for my family. Da, da, da. I'm raising my kids on my own. And sometimes I'd be like, go there, go there, go there. And now that everything was pulled out, it made me rethink everything, and just like, okay, what if this was gone? You know, did my business, my career become my idol? Because you can see how I've seen how some friends and people responded when that was just ripped away from them. Some of them just fell apart. And
Right.
then in my case, I was just like, oh, okay. I'm like, oh, this is not good, But then it made me realize, oh, sometimes I hadn't spent as much time, even though I'm doing this for my kids and our family, what they wanted more was more of me, more time with me. And these moments became extremely precious. And now that things are, have opened up a bit more, I don't want to lose. I've made it so that, yes, I have my business for my kids, and so we can have a certain lifestyle and things like that. But in the end, I said, but but what's more important to me is the time I spend with my boys. It's been so precious, and I don't want to lose that, and I don't want to take that for granted ever again. And so, yeah. And so it made me decide, is this so important? It made me realize I can say no a lot now. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm rethinking no, because this is what I value, and the way I live is working around my values. So
yes, and I think that that's one of the biggest lessons that we've learned is that you can say no, and it's okay. It's okay to say no. And I find for us, like as women, it's really hard for us to say no because we're always doing something for others. But we have to, we have to think about ourselves. And yes, you're doing this for your family, but you can't be that support for others unless you make sure that you are taking care of yourself as well, right? It's not saying you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to make sure your cup is full as well. And I think a lot of people have, you have that time, like you say, your values, what your values are, and going forward, you want to protect that. And just, means you'll rethink things going forward. And one thing that I was thinking about too is, all the networking events there are, if there is the option that they will continue having them online in addition to having them in person, then that would be great, because sometimes you can just, attend without having to spend half an hour driving here and half an hour driving back. And and especially when it comes to winter. But you can also attend, it's opened up the global market as well. So we can connect with people globally, but you can, I think a lot of people are going to be saying no more often, as you say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people are enjoying looking really blinged out on the on the top and wearing their bunny slippers on the bottom. And taking a break and running into the kitchen to get a coffee. Sometimes
no, it's true. And when you think about that as well, the fact is that this is it, right? This is all we see, the top part of us. And so it is really important to have something like a statement necklace really, makes it pop and people can remember you. But in addition to even that, when you put on something like this, it shows you have confidence. It shows that you are a very confident, strong woman, and that's going to draw people in. Like it also, when you get dressed up, and you do your makeup and you put on your jewelry and things like that, it makes you feel better about yourself, more confident, and which is going to show up in your work.
Yeah,
it's going to show up in your whole presentation. And for the people who are selling online and doing webinars online and getting clients, because that's the way it is now, is there's no, especially speakers, right? There's no speaking in person because there's no big live event, so it's all online. This is something that we really have to realize how important it is how you show up online, because I think at the beginning of it, a lot of people were like, oh, I can wear my pajamas because I'm at home and I don't have to do my hair, and I can just kind of I think that, but at the same time, the emotions that we were going through at the beginning and everything, but it really sets the tone for a positive day when you get yourself dressed up like that. And the other thing is too, you have that necklace, you're all ready, you can do your business day. And then when it's time that it's no more business, no more work, you take that off, and it's kind of like that is the signal that your work day is finished.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I totally agree with you. And also, times I would do like online events or show up for different things, like networking events, it kind of felt good to get dressed up. Because
Yeah.
outside of that, I was looking like the McKenzie brothers of SCTV. My hair was growing out and I was looking like an electrocuted Q-tip. And just to know that there was some place for me to go, to go and like put this on, I felt like, you know,
Yeah, true.
it wasn't, it just felt good. And like you said, when I've been on different conferences and webinars and all those things, and when you have a really cool piece of jewelry or when you really look polished, you really do stand out in a sea of like, some people will be like, be 30 on the screen or something like that.
Right. Yeah, true.
And then it's easy to forget. Like looking back, I'm thinking, anybody stands out to me in something that, a few, some because of what they said, but a lot, no. Because it was just sort of like, oh, I'm in my bedroom, I'm here, I'm this and that. And so I've forgotten them already. If they hadn't, unless they speak up and they're really showing that, hey, you'll notice me kind of thing. But there's some, like I can think about, I'm like, oh yeah, she looked fabulous. Even though maybe I didn't have a chance to connect with her, but I clearly remember her as day, and this was like months ago.
Yeah, because she had that presence.
She had that presence. She was looking polished, happy, big smile on her face. Well, yeah. And even some mentioned like just different people. Some had cute backgrounds, they had some interesting backgrounds. That they knew that showing up, they find a way to show up and look ready. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't put the, I can't turn that off.
Exactly. And that I have also been on some of the networking, online networking events, and people are sitting there in the darkness. They're in the dark, or they're just some little head and their videos up there, or and it's very important that you've got the right look to yourself, and you've got some lighting, and that your camera is placed in the right manner and not up in the sky just showing the top of your head or
and
something like that.
Like this, and you don't want to be like this, for example, throughout the whole interview. You're talking and then they're talking like this. And I'm thinking, oh, come on. I get it when you have a bathroom break or something, but I would be like, I could be like, I'm like, oh, I want to know who you are, Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, what's the real point of being there if you're going to be like that? You can't connect with somebody that you can't see.
And again, that goes to the point of visual. We process everything faster visually. We get immediate connection. We get immediate, before you even speak.
Right, which is why I have my tagline now: jewelry so powerful it speaks before you do.
Exactly.
That's what it is. It speaks to you. But the yes, that's what I was going to talk about. When it's how it takes 10 seconds to make a first impression or something like that, isn't it? Something, something like that. And your first impression is so important, especially in business. And now your first, the first impression people have of you is online now.
Yeah, and people and their brains are wired now that we can't even hold our attention span for more than 10, it's less than 10 seconds, like almost 7 seconds. And so people, I guess a lot of us are getting that squirrel mentality. If you don't catch me and get my interest like this, I'm gone. I'm already in the online meeting, opening up another browser and doing something else. Which is why it's so important to have, something like you have over there with that kale salad. Kale salad. Superman. Kale salad. Andy, I hope you didn't hear that.
Sorry. But I'm just saying, when you see that photo, if you were scrolling, through social media and you see that might make you stop and say, hey, I want to find out who is that person. And that's what you want to do with your branding. And that's what you want to do with your branding photography. You want you want an image that makes people stop and find out about and draw you in. That's what it is. It's all to draw you in, to find out more about you. but this is your way to get that attention.
To connect, you want your image to connect immediately, to get them stay longer than 10 seconds.
So that they want to find out more about who you are and what you do and what you can do for them.
Exactly.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time this morning, Natalie.
Oh, thank you.
And it was great to talk to you. And I will put your information up underneath this interview when I put it up as well.
Appreciate it.
And what is happening for you now? So you're back at it,
Yep.
able to do the photo shoots inside as well, right?
In studio as well as outside, yeah, or on location at their office, yeah. So I'm fully back on, and it's exciting. I've had my latest client. She was amazing. She is a hairstylist and an educator, and we were talking about we got to have some really great images to make you stand out. And it was a fun shoot, and she was thrilled with the images. And so, yeah, just creating images that are not typical and just bold, that tell your story and bring connection. Right. Yeah, we even used her mannequin head as a microphone because she's also a speaker. So, having fun with that. Yeah, just like thinking outside the box. It shows her personality and creativity.
And that's so important, especially now. We need to think out of the box. If this has shown us anything, it's, that anything is possible. And just think about doing things differently. As everything's been shaken up in the whole world, we need to do things differently going forward. And this is the opportunity to do so. So
Absolutely.
I look forward to seeing those images from that last shoot as well.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much and have a great day.
You too.
All right. Thank you. Bye, everybody.